seafaring voyage with another brother attorney, and of all places he was going to get to Australia, Tasmania, and whether he fell off the ship or whatever, that was his end. And John Swinburne, Dr. John Swinburne, as they say, kept at this. He didn't. He and Roscoe Conklin really were the two protagonists in all of these trials. They were the ones that were fighting the good fight, one to save and one not to save. Any other?
Perhaps, if I may, Joe, the people might like to know that we have in our holdings here in the Historical Society the complete transcript of the second coroner's inquest with all the testimony taken verbatim at the time. We obtained that from the New York City Historical Society. We have it on microfilm, which we also reproduced in photocopying. And we have the proceedings of the New York Medical Society that you mentioned that made a study of the medical aspects of the entire case here. And we also have correspondence that was generated by Franklin B. Huff, Dr. Huff, for his revised edition of Huff's history, when he tried to track down the whereabouts of Reverend Budge at that time. And he came up with the proceedings in Tasmania, because Reverend Budge's past kept catching up with him. As you well point out in the book, he got out in Tasmania, and I think it's really interesting. He had always been haunted. Perhaps you will agree or not agree with me, with the thought that he was overly attentive to the female members of his flock, particularly younger ones.
Yeah.
And
to say the least.
He became engaged in Tasmania, and the father of the prospective bride got wind of his difficulties back in New York State. I think it's very interesting. I gathered that back in those days, fathers of the bride had something to say about these affairs, and the father caused, am I right, this inquiry to be made in Tasmania, and they had a long church, Presbyterian church affair out there with the governing bodies, and again, the people were split right down the middle. And that's what happened in Lewis County. I thought, did you think so too, that it was right down the middle? Those were in favor of Reverend Budge, and those that were contrary-minded.
There was a small group that started the Forest Presbyterian Church up at Penny Settlement, and you probably all, I'm sure, know where that is, 2 miles up Moose River. And they moved down here, and the little Forest Church was on the other side of the bridge, the confluence of the Black and the Moose Rivers. And that is still there, only it's been moved from its location across the road, where it's now a little apartment house. But that was the start of the Forest Presbyterian Church. And Dr. Brainerd, who was a native of Leiden Hill, and apparently a tremendous character, was all for the defendant. And he had done a lot for this church. He had gotten stained glass windows in his parishioners. Dr. Brainerd had been selected to go to Philadelphia, where he headed one of the largest Presbyterian churches there. And he had provided money and furniture, and Lyman Lyons had provided the bell for this church. Dr. Brainerd was, to say the least, and all the way down through in the corner of Mr. Budge until the very end, when he changed his mind and he sent letters of apology to those people that he had, more or less criticized for not backing the Reverend. So he and there was I have in here those letters that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it tickles me, these script letters. I spent a lot of time on those scripts trying to decipher and talk about hieroglyphics. I always said after going through those that it's no wonder they had so many duels in those days, because somebody'd get a letter and he'd say, oh, that's what you think of me, eh? And the script letters and written. And I'm going to challenge you to do. You call me a liar here if you've been writing this out. A lot of it we couldn't figure out. We just had to leave blank spaces. But it was a good exercise for anybody that wanted to see how well they could read scripts. But there were a lot of those, and there were a lot of letters between Dr. Huff and other doctors, and the Reverend Story of Scotland, who was in Tasmania, who 19 years later started this big cloudburst again with the accused. And I have, I don't know how many letters I had on that. I think a book, really.
Didn't you think, I'm not gonna give away anything about the book because if people want to read it.
Yeah.
If you get all these nuances, but Budge struck me as something like Alger Hiss. You see, he took the offensive and sued Caleb Lyon for libel, which of course is a civil trial. Whereas down in Rome, that was a criminal trial, and they had to prove the guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. And Joe doesn't cover this in the book, but you might like to comment, Joe. I felt that it was an indication of the times. People did not want to find a clergyman guilty of any kind of a crime or anyone else that had a position in society. It was very much like Lizzie Borden over in Massachusetts, where the jury refused to convict them because why? Because they were Bordens. Is that what, did you follow? Did you get that feeling at all?
And you may notice that I've been reluctant to pursue this too much tonight because for the same reason. I'm rather reluctant to get into a situation, involving a clergyman and his wife. And as you notice, I haven't mentioned too much about them personally, although I have written in this quite a bit. Yes, I agree with you thoroughly. They didn't want to censor a clergyman, and I don't know if we're following that procedure today or not.
I don't know. I'm recommending Joe's book because I think the case is more interesting than the American tragedy, so-called by Dreiser at Big Moose. I mean, it's got elements that case does not have. It's got everything. It's got a hint of romance, illicit romance. You've got the family conflict between the two brothers. You've got the position in society of a clergyman, although he was dirt poor and had to have a little farm over there in order to support himself, as you bring out. Now, I'm not going to say anything more. Good joke. The people might like to know where he lived. He lived over in Lionsdale, and the farm is burned down since. You probably know where it is. Tell them where it is. It's on the way to Willesey Bridge.
Yeah, River Road.
River.
And there's the picture.
Yeah.
Firehouse burned. And strange it may seem, I was in that building before it burned. Yeah. I had a friend of mine that took me around, and they took me down there. There were relatives. They went there. Then coming back, he said to me, there was a lady here in Lyons Falls. He said, she has a book, but she won't let you take it. A publication that's printed by the printing outfit in Lowville. She won't let you take it. She'll let you read it here. I said, let's go up to see her. And so we went up there, and I walked in, and I said, Madeline, you're still just as beautiful as when you and I worked together up in the woods at Barrett's. I had never seen her since there before. And she said, come in, Jones, sit down. And we got talking about the book. She said, here, take it. You can have it. So you see, sometimes a little compliment. But that was a true compliment because she was a beautiful woman. So I got that. But this was this case was strange, and it just kept drawing you into it. You kept wondering what would happen. As I said, it was Judge Walsh in Utica that had done the same thing, but he got tied up. And he sent me all the Utica Herald and all of those. But it was a tremendous job looking all this up, putting it together. And there are a lot of letters in here. And what impressed me was there were two letters. One, Priscilla's sister-in-law wrote her. It was a very remarkable letter. And then there was another letter that Priscilla wrote that was in here. And of course the mournful ballad, 60 lines. And when that happened over in Herkimer, that was sort of a legal parsing of that line by line. They went over it. I know when we had something happen to us there. We had written to the Historical Society in Herkimer, and we heard nothing for about 3 months. We figured, well, we're not going to hear anything there. And then all of a sudden we got a letter that said, if you'd go to the county clerk's office and look for file such and such, we think you'll find what you wanted. And I said to my wife, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, we're gone. And we were over there, I guess, maybe 3 or 4 days, just copying. We found more than we ever anticipated, plus a copy of the A Most Mournful Ballad that still they haven't proven. It was very strange there because Caleb was tabbed with having written that, and finally went to trial. But there was another man who was accused of having written it in the first place. And another strange situation involved here was the fact that Caleb was down in Albany with Dr. Swinburne, and the Mournful Ballad was read on the back of the book coming up, and then it was scattered all around the North Country and publicized. And I don't know, Caleb went out to Idaho finally, and of course there's quite some affluent people here. Caleb was a congressman, assemblyman, a congressman, and as I say, territorial governor of Idaho, appointed by Abraham Lincoln. And his brother was the entrepreneur of Lewis County. Founded Lyons Falls and founded Port Leyden and founded the industries. And he and his brother built the highway from Lyons Falls to McKeever. His brother-in-law, empowered by the legislature to have done that. There are many little twists and turns in all of this. One thing I can say is that